My name is Alan Chalker. I am one of the general chairs for the PEARC 22 conference, and appreciate the invitation here. We haven't really presented about PEARC to a group like you before, so we were debating over the past week how to best do it. And instead of doing a slide deck, I'm actually going to just share my screen and go to our website. And the main reason we wanted to do that was that way, if you see something and you're like, oh, wait a minute, do I need that slide? No, you can just go to the website and see it. So I will turn on screen sharing real quick. And
Alan, before
yeah,
before you start, I did want to
sure.
announce that we're going to record this, just for our members that may not be able to attend today. So I want to let everybody know we are recording.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay, and please, I've got my chat pulled up, ask questions, whatever as I go through here. So, let's just talk first high level about PEARC. And you can see here I'm at pearc.acm.org is the website for the overall conference series. PEARC stands for Practice and Experience in Advanced Research Computing. I know it's a mouthful, but the idea behind PEARC, and if I'll scroll down here real quick, it actually came out of, are you all seeing that okay? Okay, good. It came out of some previous conferences, mainly from the Exceed series of conferences. So if you're not familiar with Exceed is the big NSF funded project that kind of ties together a whole bunch of the supercomputer and research computing centers around the country, and allows faculty and researchers anywhere in the country to apply for access and get training and access to supercomputers and big data and things like that. So Exceed has a series of conferences, as you can see, a decade or so ago. There was also this thing called ARC workshops, and they kind of merged in 2017 into this thing called PEARC. PEARC, you can see New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Chicago, past 2 years. It's been a virtual event, and we're super excited that it's going to be fully in person now in Boston in early July 10th through the 14th. We are sponsored and affiliated with ACM and the two special interest groups in ACM, SIG App and SIG HPC. That's why it's pearc.acm.org. They kind of run all of our finances and have oversight of us. The idea behind PEARC is it's really designed primarily for, I'll call them the enabler. So, and by enabler, I mean the people who are running the research computing resources that are there's a lot of terms out there now in terms of, maybe you've heard RSEs, research science engineers, things like that. So while there are people that attend that are faculty and we'll call the doers, the people that are actually using these resources, it's more targeted at the peers and the sysadmins and the client services folks and people that are doing training around software and using computing. We in past years, not virtual events, but in terms of Chicago, Pittsburgh, general attendance is in the 700 to 900 people range. So it's a modestly sized conference. It's we pack a lot in. I'm going to go ahead and go into the PEARC 22 page itself. And again, it's going to be Boston. It's going to be at the Boston Park Plaza, which is a historic hotel. It's a beautiful facility. Has over 1,000 rooms in it, right off of the Boston Commons. Very, very nice facility there. I'll emphasize it is going to be a fully in-person experience. We are unfortunately not able to have any type of hybrid where we're streaming or online participation. just because of the size of it and the cost associated with that. We are requiring all participants to either be vaccinated for COVID, or within 48 hours, I believe, or 72 hours of attending the conference, to be able to provide a negative COVID test. So you either vaccinated or negative tested there. So the hotel, Boston Park Plaza, we have some great speakers, plenary speakers lined up. One of the things that is incredibly important to us as a steering committee is our DEI efforts. So I think you'll see that throughout some of the things I'm going to be talking about here. So plenary speakers here, we've got Dean Howard from Ohio State, Suresh from Intel, John Towns is going to be talking about the Exceed program and the new Access program. Donna Cox, Jack Dongera, who you might be aware of, he was just awarded the Turing Award this year from ACM, and then Ruth Marenshaw from Stanford is going to be on there. So some great keynotes. The program includes panels, posters, speakers, BOFs. We also have a pretty robust student program that's always been associated with it. The student program applications are open through May 1st. I think we're going to extend that a week or two. So if you're seeing this, you're like, oh my gosh, I think that we're gonna have a little bit of time to extend that next week. We do have a certain amount of funding that we can provide to help fund some the students, some of their costs associated with going to the program. But it's I'll tell you, it's one of these things that it's been over the years an amazing event. We strive in particularly to reach out to MSI institutions, HBCU institutions. That's part of why I'm talking to you all. Just really, we think that that's incredibly important. In terms of some of the things they do, they've got mentors, resume clinics. They learn about research computing. They give some presentations. There's been just some great things that they do, and I'm not gonna go into all the information here, but it's all on the website here. Other things we have, basically the way the program works. We don't have, I think, it fully on here. I think it's on the registration page. No, it's not on here. I apologize. But here, I know it's on the this page. So the general schedule for the week is here on the registration page. It's Sunday night is the student program welcome event. Monday during the day is tutorials and workshops. There's no additional fees. We have one flat registration fee. Have some wonderful tutorials and workshops that I'll go into a second that attendees can go to. Tuesday, Wednesday during the day, we have our plenaries, our track sessions, our panels, our BOFs. Then Tuesday evening, we have our poster reception that people can talk to the poster authors. On Wednesday evening, we have our offsite networking event. And then on Thursday, we have a half day with some plenaries and track sessions. There is a potential vendor event that's going to happen. NVIDIA is talking about doing something Thursday afternoon. We provide continental breakfast and lunch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On Thursday, we don't provide the lunch. There are a series of co-located events that happen during this, in terms of there's a Campus Champions event that'll be happening, an Exceed All Hands event, some access events. In terms of some of the agenda items for the workshops, you can just kind of see here to get that agenda of the workshops. Click up on the upper right hand corner there. We're talking about education, training, containers, profiling, software deployment, science gateways. You see there's just a lot of different things that are being covered here. Thank you, Marissa, for putting in the URL. I should have said that. In fact, Marissa is chair of our DEI efforts. I don't think we have it announced yet. I'm looking for it. But one of the things
Not yet.
okay, but I'm going to talk about it. Thank you. One of the things that we are doing this year that we're trying out is a dependent travel grant. So we realize that for some people, it is a burden to go to a 3 or 4 day conference if you particularly have maybe elder or childcare needs. And so we have set aside a part of the budget and are going to be announcing soon that people can apply for potentially getting their dependent travel or certain care expenses covered so that they can participate in the program. We do have today, unfortunately, is the deadline for birds of a feathers and panels. So if you really want to, you could get something in by midnight if you wanted to propose something there, but might be a little bit
Alan,
late.
it's tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Oh,
So
sorry.
there's still time.
Sorry. This week has been so long. I apologize. I wish it was Friday. It's Thursday. I wish it was Friday. So thank you. I have talked a lot. Marissa, did I miss anything you think that I should cover here?
No, I think the biggest thing is that we really would love to encourage folks to invite their students to this opportunity. I think we are going to be extending that program date, the due date for that. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to engage with the students. And if any of you have been to supercomputing, you know that's a huge conference. And this is just a smaller venue. Really, you're walking through the hallways with people that you might not otherwise be able to, talk to. Our community is super engaged. We will all want to see our students succeed. And so we would love if you could share this opportunity. We just would love a diverse group of students to attend. And, really, if I have a student who really she works with our team, but she's just not sure that she wants to pursue research computing, and that's okay. Because there are a lot of different roles that people play. And, this is an opportunity to sit down with professionals who do a lot of different things. And it's not a cookie cutter job. I do outreach and engagement. There are people who do marketing and communications. There are people who do facilitation and work with researchers. There's the more technical roles. They're the systems people who work with the actual infrastructure. And so this is a great opportunity to expose students to a variety of roles. And so if there's one thing that you take away from this, if you can't do it this year, then certainly next year, please. And we'd love to see all of you, obviously. And we do a lot to try to intertwine diversity, equity, and inclusion into the whole entire conference. And so it's not just the student program. It's not just, this dependent care. The travel grant is something that has been in the works for a few years now. And, I think it's a small step. It's this one little thing that we can do, but it's just a big thing that we can do as well. And so, yeah, we'd love to see you.
I'll just to point to more of that. I mentioned the COVID info, so we have some details on this. We have a very robust code of conduct policy and procedures for reporting that, because we take that very, very seriously. So we've got email, text, phone, ways of that. And then we do have a good list of the committees up here. So I would encourage you, if you're not sure about this, maybe scroll through this list and see if there's somebody that you know and that you already have some sort of a collaboration or interaction with, and you can reach out to them and obviously I'm available, you know, anybody on the committee happy to talk about this, but we realize that sometimes you're like, well, I just don't know if this is something that has the type of content that I'd want. We don't have the content up, or our full agenda of all of the technical program up yet, but you can always go back to previous years, and we do have previous years full programs up that you could take a look at, and to get a feel for the types of things that people have presented in the past as well. Oh, apparently it doesn't let me sign in there. I don't know what's going on there, but it's, I'm sure we can see some of these. Questions, did I cover everything? I know you allocated an awful lot of time for us here, but I also don't want to drone on and on. If anybody has questions or have any of you attended PEARC in the past, you want to talk about the experience? Or
I can add one little thing that I know several of you on this call happen to be campus champions. So check your email, because we will cover your registration and your travel expenses.
yes, very much. Thank you, Dana, for doing that.
Oh, and it's not too late to sign up to become a campus champion. The cost is one Word document.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Lawrence. Well, thank you for your presentation. I think that PEARC is very, very important. And a couple things I wanted to highlight for MSCC members, there are potential opportunities to fund attendance. If there's interest, please reach out to me or Lanika, and we can get you more information. The other thing I like to see, I know that it's right around the corner this year, is that maybe for next year that, we get ahead of the cycle and we can, work together to, I don't want to say market, because, we're not selling PEARC, but just share the opportunity, share the benefits with MSCC members as a whole. So that way we have, more of a glide path so people can prepare. I also wanted to see if there's a way that we could highlight some of the benefits, right? Have there been like collaboration experiences or, anything that you would say has been a highlight of PEARC that I could share with the group, or well, start with sharing with the people on the call and then maybe to the larger MSCC audience as a whole?
Yeah, so let me give you one particular example, and there's probably some others will chime in as well. But this year is a very unique year in that we are about to end Exceed, and we're about to start the follow-on program Access. So one of the things that we are doing is we are making sure to provide plenty of opportunities for the Access awardees to meet with, present to, talk to the community, because these Access awardees, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of new stuff and a lot of opportunities there. So I think that's not a usual thing that's happening every year, but at least this year in particular is a very unique opportunity, that just to be there and hear and engage on all those Access folks is really, really important. Yes, thank you, Marisa. In terms of other examples of things, I'll tell you we picked the tagline. I didn't emphasize it, but on the webpage it says the tagline is "Computing Connections and You," and we picked that on purpose because PEARC is so much about the connections. I can't tell you the number of times that I in the past have sat in on sessions and somebody's been presenting something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that. I need to talk to you about it. I mean, I've had follow-on conversations with just amazing people that are doing just amazing things out there that you hear about. The student program, I personally, prior to COVID, had 2 different interns that were engaged in the student program that brought in for the summer, and this is kind of the accumulation of their summer program. A little bit late, I think, for maybe some of those internships to be lined up now if you're thinking about that, but maybe that could happen. But PEARC really kind of ties in that. Marisa, I'm probably missing some, you probably have some.
One of the big ones is we have a workforce development and DEI track. And so just even from the perspective of, being able to submit a paper, a workshop, birds of a feather, get together, a panel, any of those items, there is we usually have quite a few submissions for that, but that's an area where we can always improve. And so I would encourage, if you have a wonderful idea or an opportunity to bring people together, like maybe next year you can actually boss submissions, I think are due. Are they due tomorrow? Friday as well. It might be a little bit of a time crunch for this year, but maybe next year. I personally think that there are a lot of people in our community that don't know about you and who would love to hear more about this group and the work that you're doing. And so even if it's a birds of a feather gathering where you bring people into a room and tell them about the wonderful things that you're doing, that would be tremendous. But there are plenty of opportunities to engage. And I can say, for me personally, having engaged with PEARC, I worked with Dana, I've worked with Alan, just meeting people in that intimate environment has, provided career opportunities. It's provided opportunities to engage in publications, or even the opportunity to volunteer on the PEARC steering committee, as well as as DEI chair over the last 2 years. And so those were tremendous growth and career opportunities for me personally. So if that's not a good reason to get involved, I'm not sure.
Right.
What else? Yeah. Thank you.
Urban, you mentioned you attended PEARC 19. Maybe you can chime in on your experience.
Oh, I didn't mean to turn the camera on. I'm in the process of trying to get to the other side of the campus.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first introduction to PEARC and the Exceed program, the Campus Champions. That was just my introduction. Into the high performance computing environment for me to bring back to my institution. So it was very enlightening for me, and it targeted some of our research with not me, but another individual that I was able to bring some information back to move forward. But yeah, I'm very acquainted with it. And as I said, I am a campus champion. I was actually debating on whether or not I was going to be able to go because of the funding issue and timing.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well, Urban. I am excited to be able to work with PEARC to share, all of the wonderful things that you're doing. I know this year it was brought to my attention an opportunity to have a BOF at PEARC. I think it's a little short notice with all that we have going on. I couldn't make that happen, but I am very interested in really partnering for the next year so we can have a glide path and expand, this partnership with all the MSCC members. I know there's a lot of benefits, so that's something that the MSCC is putting on our action plan.
So Lawrence, that'd be great. I will drop into the chat here. The general chair for next year is Bob Sinkovich.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know Bob from SDSC, but I'll drop his email in, and I'm sure that he would love to have that conversation. He's still at the stage of just about to sign the contract next year. It's going to be in Portland. And
okay.
So he's working on just getting the contract signed with the convention center and hotel and all of that. But sure that he'd love to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Now, Alan, this is Bobby Clark, and I'm going to bring up something that may be a little different, and I've
Sure.
kind of clued this in with Lawrence already. The concern I have with many institutions that we're trying to serve with MSCC is A, they're not convinced that these kinds of conferences are in their benefit, and there is a high cost for them to jump into it, despite the fact that Dana has a wonderful program with our Champions program, and certainly people like Urban should be taking advantage of it. I'm wondering if and this is probably too late to do for anything that you can do in this year, but next year, maybe there would be an opportunity to talk about how we can give people a small on-ramp to what PEARC can do, and maybe explore the idea of that virtual option that you decided not to do this year because of obvious things, and find a way for people to get a taste of what this is so that they get interested and then build toward a larger participation in future years. Have you guys thought about that or have considered that?
We have, so let me just to give you a little bit more insight of our total conference budget is about $800,000, and that's a big number. I know that sounds like a lot, but if you do the math, and we'll just say arbitrarily we're expecting about 800 people. That means we're spending about $1,000 per person, right, already on food and AV, and we're pretty lean. Nobody's getting paid. Everyone in the community is volunteers. There's no salaries or anything like that. I don't know if Bobby, if you are familiar with SC, for example, which is a much bigger conference. Supercomputing has 12 to 13,000. Their budget is multiple orders of magnitudes, like tens of millions of dollars, and even they had trouble over the past 2 years. Last year they did a hybrid approach, and it was very challenging. So we hear you. We looked at it when we had to set our budget last fall. We're like, we're already spending something on the order of $150,000 on AV just to have the in-room AV, and then to tie that into some sort of streaming. It was completely outside the scope of anything that we could do within the budget, and keep it. It's expensive to begin with. I mean, right now the registration, if you're an ACM member, it's $700, and I realize that's an expensive amount, but and it goes up from there depending on when you register. So I would love for ideas on how to do what you're describing. So yeah, it is of a concern to us. We really appreciate Campus Champions brings in a lot of people. We do, some of the budget is set aside for the student program to help subsidize that. Some of the budget, as we already mentioned, is set aside for the dependent care. We're trying to do what we can around the edges. I don't know, and maybe there's some obvious idea that we're missing, and I'd love to hear it as to how we can do a smaller on-ramp, like you said, elsewise. I don't know.
Maybe I would suggest one thing is, so the Campus Research Computing Consortium, CARC, that I think a lot of you are familiar with. And I know, and I don't want to, there's no substitute for in-person engagement, right? I think that's super important for building the relationships and their social capital and all those wonderful things. But the People Network of CARC, so we kind of call it a virtual year-round conference. And so it's the same target audience, right? It's the people who are enabling the computational and data intensive research. And it has tracks just similar to a conference and things like this. It's completely free. The cost to join is to fill out a Google form. But that could at least be one avenue for participating and learning and things like that. Each of the tracks has a monthly call. They have steering committees and things like that. And getting involved, like Marisa was talking about earlier, is like you could give presentations there, join up in various ways to really engage with the community there.
And Dan, thank you so much for mentioning that. that makes me realize something I didn't mention that might be another way. PEARC, because it's associated with ACM, everything is officially published in proceedings. So you can go back to the previous years and see the actual papers or the posters, in many cases, even the videos, because the virtual. So that's another maybe on ramp of at least looking at what we've done in the past and seeing, oh, this is a topic, and hey, this is some good information. It doesn't fully cover everything, but we're open to ideas.
And again, I'm not going to take up a lot more time on this, but I see possibilities with what Dana's talking about, and the fact that we're probably not talking about a large number of sessions. It might be a package where you say new to this, and you do 1 or 2 sessions that explain some of the things we just said and gives people the option to look for on-ramps for this. Because we're dealing with people who are not familiar with this at all. And if we've heard the story before, I've heard it a million times where you're presented with all of this information. It's like drinking water from a fire hose. Yep. And you really want to find a way to give people a glass of water and to let them taste it and see that they like it and come back for more. And so we're looking for ways to engage people in that kind of way. Most of the time, yes, this is going to be a great opportunity for most of them, but they need to be convinced. And so we're looking for a way to perhaps do that. And I would just suggest that there's a way to do that and engage with our community and maybe others too.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted, Bobby. I'm with you.
That's really great feedback, though. I think we need to hear that. So thank you.
And she didn't say it, but Marisa is vice chair of the steering committee of PEARC. So, so she can definitely get that in front of the steering committee.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and even with, along the lines of what Bobby is saying, that, there's some things that I think we can partner with as far as, and maybe outreach isn't the right word, but I think there's ways that we can, reach out, especially to the MSI community across the board, and then partner, because what we essentially want to do is bring these resources to our community. And I have a couple ideas on how we can do that, but it's going to take a glide path. So we'll definitely be all working together to find ways to do that. So I'm excited about, this conversation and you all taking the time to share with us. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, nothing heard. So thank you, Alan, Marissa. I appreciate it. You all will be hearing from me. Again, I won't be able to make it personally this year, but next year I definitely plan on attending, God willing. And I definitely have some ideas on how we can partner and kind of expand, what you all are doing within PEARC into the MSCC and have that glide path so we can have a broader, audience, going into 2023.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all.
Absolutely.
We're available for any questions, following up. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome. So I wanted to go next. I wanted to discuss, follow with the agenda and talk about our workshop series. So I'm excited to say that we finally have approval to host our first workshop at North Carolina A&T. The dates are the 22nd and 23rd of June. And we've been working with Tom Jackson, the CIO there, to really flesh out our agenda. The CI Day will host or highlight some of the things that North Carolina A&T are doing on their campus to become a cyber center of excellence. The cybersecurity workshop will focus on ransomware this year. So we're working on our speakers list. And with that, there is a series of things that we want to do to advertise the upcoming event. For me, it's very important that we get the word out about the MSCC. Membership is free, but the resources are priceless. We're going to start, one of the activities, I shouldn't say we're going to start with, but one of the activities that I'm really excited about is On the agenda, we had a coffee with Lawrence, but I've worked with the marketing and communication team here. And the title of the event is going to be called Building Tech Connections, Conversations with Leaders at HBCUs. And what that's going to be is a YouTube broadcast where we talk about some of the things that are happening on North Carolina A&T's campuses, as far as cyber infrastructure, to get up the interest, to gain the interest of HBCUs in the area. So the topics will include information from or discussions from Wi-Fi, broadband to computing and data storage systems to cybersecurity. And we want to explore how campuses are getting more people involved in research opportunities that put the focus on the needs of their communities. So to me, this is right along the lines of what the MSCC is all about. And it's important that we share this information to not only our members, but other HBCUs and MSIs in the area. Any questions or comments about the upcoming workshop and some of the marketing that we'll be doing around the tech conversation?
Yeah, Lawrence, we've got 5, I think, TCUs that are coming, and Emily's making sure that happens and everything. Is there anything that we can point them to so they can, read about what they're going to be in for?
Not yet. Emily, go ahead. I see
Yes.
you chomping at the bit.
Yeah, sorry. We are literally in the process of developing all those things. We're going to have a website. We're going to have, the agenda, all the speakers. We're getting all of that together. And as soon as we have everything nailed down, we will absolutely put it out there and share it with this group.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And I do appreciate that ask, Jim. Again, it's important. We're going to, hold nothing back to make this conference just very impactful. And this is the first of 5. We will have one, and Jim, I always mess up the name on a TCU, and I'm nervous about even saying it. Could you
Salish Kootenai.
Salish Kootenai.
Kootenai.
Okay, my apologies. I'm gonna work on that pronunciation. So we will be coming to their campus, and then there are 3 other HBCU campuses that we're going to have workshops with. So this is the first one. And to me, it's important that we just spread the word. As soon as the website is up and we have the abstract, I'll be sending out to the MSCC team as a whole and just ask everybody to share it. Emily, did I miss anything? Anything else you want to highlight?
Got it.
All right, great. Thank you. So I have a bunch of windows open now. So for today, we talked about are there any other questions on the workshop series? I don't want to go too far into what's next, but I am putting together the speaker list. I'm excited about that. So I don't want to share too much information before the time. Any other questions or comments about that? All right, nothing heard. Any questions about PEARC or comments about how we can bring or introduce PEARC into the MSI community?
Lawrence, one part of our membership drive is about getting more faculty researchers involved in MSCC. We probably can have something that might talk more specifically to that constituency about what their benefits are. And I certainly think that that this conference is one of those benefits that we could list on there. I don't know if we made a real concentrated effort to go after researchers in the last year. We probably could do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the things, as I talk to some of the smaller HBCUs, when we talk about researchers, I would like to be able to tell the story on how it benefits their campus, right? I see that there are several challenges in getting to even a research network, right? But I think that there are a lot of things that they can start doing now to help prepare them to participate in just research projects. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know it's kind of off the cuff, but do you have any thoughts on that, Bobby, on what we can start doing now to kind of help spread the word as we're kind of gaining momentum?
Well, so I certainly think that going after the researchers in that way makes sense, but we also need to make them understand that it takes more than just the researcher to do this effectively. And there has to be another set of stakeholders that also hears that this is what you do for researchers and how you plant that seed. So you've got to have people in purchasing, you've got to have people in sponsor programming, and lots of different areas that are aware of what a researcher needs and how that need translates to some of these kinds of benefits. So as someone in that kind of role, my hope is that we can get the word out to them on how important it is to encourage and enable your researchers by doing and knowing about some of these resources. And I'm not sure we always speak to it that way.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that we are either. And that's something that as we spread the word on the MSCC, that I think that is worth adding to our introduction slide deck, right? How we can help benefit, or how the benefits of research on a campus, even a smaller campus. So thank you for that, Bobby. The last thing I want to discuss is potential collaboration opportunities, specifically workforce development and student engagement. I am getting a lot of contacts from various corporations that want to work with the MSCC. One of the areas is workforce development, and we're looking at just different ways that we can have a program, and I'm not sure how it's going to be organized yet. So I don't want to say that the MSCC will host, but maybe we sponsor, and there will be a member institution that's the host of it, where we have something, and there's been a variety of concepts that have been shared with me, like a SOC where we train students and they get on-hand knowledge and experience. But what I wanted to ask the membership as a whole, do we think that's something that an institution would find beneficial? Like, is that something that they could integrate into their current fields of study or their current programs on campus, where they could have students participate virtually from that? Do we think that's a concept worth pursuing, when it comes to workforce development, having a SOC where it's owned by a corporation that they sponsor the training, they do everything, and the students attend virtually for a semester or two to gain on-hand knowledge and experience, and at the end of it they will be able to work in that type of environment?
Yeah, I think my answer would be having some background in putting up a SOC for students at Clemson would be that it's got tremendous workforce potential. I guess it depends on how the company implements it and what the students are allowed to do, and the content really. But I think conceptually it's a great thing to go. We're doing it in the tribal colleges on a very small scale. Okay. One of the tribal colleges has a DOE grant. It's workforce development, and we're getting we've been recommended for an NSF cybersecurity grant to actually link in a couple other schools on a sort of prototype basis into the SOC, and we're going to start experimenting in that space, I guess. So I think it depends on the company and how much confidence you have in them, and how good they are, and things like that. Conceptually, I think it's great.
Well, Jim, I will be reaching out to you for some more information, right? Because I do think it's a great idea. I just want to make sure that, we have the interest and support in it before we even start talking concepts in detail and bringing something like that to fruition. I see somebody has their hand raised. And
Hi, yes, yeah, my name is Sajid Hussain. I'm from Fisk University, Nashville, Tennessee. Sorry, I joined late. I didn't come in the beginning. Now, regarding I'm the director of sponsored research program at the university. I'm also involved in computer science and data science programs over here. Now, this industry sponsored session during academic year, I think it will be a great opportunity, in my opinion. We have at Fisk, we have a precedence in multiple format. One is, for example, like we know about Google, they send their software engineers to several HBCUs and other MSI, and the person stays on campus and teach the code. That is one model. Then there is another, even same company, Google, they have another model where they have something similar, what they call tech exchange. They offer the courses through Harvard, we call it Harvard West, but then they open to other MSIs as well, where students, they take the course during their academic year it is online class, officially going through Harvard, but Fisk or Spelman or Morehouse, anybody can join it. They go through the interview process, final students are selected, and they really enforce that it should be credit course. Otherwise, students don't take it serious. So it is a credit course which goes on, offer could be special topics, anything, students take it seriously. I'm part of the tech exchange program as well. And I've seen, it's not that software engineers or industry practitioners are better than faculty, but the thing is, since it's a moving target, technology changes so rapidly, and students want to work on the real applied projects. So it's a win-win situation if industry is taking the lead and offering the courses on campus, and we can relate to it. Third thing, what I see, this industry sponsored during academic year may be better than summer, especially for Fisk and other smaller institutions, because in academic year, we have like a sophomore seminar and other our journal clubs and those things going on. So if we have industry sponsored session going on, we can energize it. They can work on more meaningful applied projects. That will be a win-win situation. Second thing, for industry, for their own, it's like a win-win, a two-way street. I know, for example, I have a local company, Ashorian and other, they want to establish relationship. And the small companies who like pay $5,000 or $10,000 internship, they can't compete with the big players like Google or Microsoft, Amazon. Google, Amazon, they pay $20,000 for summer. No research lab or small company can compete with them, $20,000. But they can give them still engaged students during academic year. And then they develop the relationship. And sometimes students do choose that I know these guys, I like it, even if they're paying me less, they're not paying me 20K, 15K or whatever amount, I can join in this company and we can retain the local talent in the city. Like many students in Nashville, they want to stay in Nashville and they prefer these local companies. Still a decent company, like H1 is like a world headquarters, not a small company. It's from Singapore all over the places. But it's, say, Equinix, like the H1 can't compete with Amazon or Apple or these guys. So in other words, it is a win-win situation, still a decent internship, but during academic. In simple words, I highly promote it. I know I taught a lot, but I highly promote it. It's a great idea. And it's not like competing. Other programs still exist, but during academic year will be a great idea.
Thank you for that insight. And that's definitely something I was looking for. My job as a program director is to make sure that I'm bringing things of value to the members of MSCC. And this is something that, has been shared with me. The company is really excited about, the concept, and they're very flexible. So we have an opportunity to build it in a way that supports us, right? Instead of somebody just coming and say, hey, we're going to do this. I look at this as an opportunity to tell them what model we want. So your feedback is very instrumental. I will make sure that that's applied. So thank you. Bobby, you had your hand up.
I just want to lift up a couple of things that both the gentleman from Fisk and you and yourself said. We want these programs to work for the benefit of our members. And so the devil's in the details about how those models work. We don't want them to be just pipes for people to go into high-paying jobs in those companies. We want them to also help develop the workforce around our institutions and our students, so that they can pick and choose the opportunities that they need. So I think it's good for us to get into the ground level of this and to actually work on the tools and the details of these programs so that they work for our members. And that's why it's so important for our members to step up and say what they need. And I applaud the gentleman from Frisco doing that, so that we can make those models work best for our members.
Well, with that being said, I am going to put together a steering committee, and we will meet with the company and we'll talk about, we'll hear their pitch, we'll figure it out, right? We'll build it the way that fits us. So I'll send that out in email to everybody that's on the distro list. And I would encourage everybody that's on this call that if you have a peer, a partner that's, in another MSI, please share that with them, right? Because I feel like we have some very unique opportunities, but it's going to take participation, and some input to build it that benefits all of us. So please share that. That'll come out probably next week as we're working towards a couple other initiatives. Any additional comments? Questions? Well, it looks like we're going to get a couple minutes back. Thank you everyone for attending the call. I appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing everyone on the next call.